Today's recipe on Evelyn's Edibles is a recipe for Polynesian meatballs. It's a recipe that I came upon by accident quite a number of years ago, and my family loved it. And now that they're grown up, when they come home, one of the things they ask for is Polynesian meatballs. It's kind of a simple recipe, but it's fun and it's tasty. So I'll tell you how I begin. First of all, it has ground beef that makes the meatballs. And in my family, there used to be quite attention paid to the number of meatballs that each person had, so that they had an equal amount. So that's how much they enjoyed it. So I've made here some of the meatballs, and I'll just show you how I do it. Make sure my hands are clean, of course, and then just take lean ground beef and make it into balls. They're probably about an inch in, if you looked at them, they'd be around an inch in size. So today because we're going to have this for dinner, I'm making 30 meatballs. And so we should be able to have enough for all. So once the meatballs are made, we dip them into a mixture of egg and flour and salt and pepper. So we'll start with an egg. And beat that just a little to get it well mixed. And then we'll add 2 tablespoons of flour. Mix that in, and some salt and some pepper. And the amount of salt would be around a half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm pretty good at making that kind of measurement without having a spoon, because it's probably not quite that specific in terms of the amount of salt and pepper. So once we have a batter, then I'm going to take it over to the stove with the meatballs, and in the pan we're going to cook the meatballs in, I have placed 3 tablespoons of oil. So I'm just going to turn that on so that it can heat. And I will bring my meatballs over and dip them and start to cook. So now I'm going to dip the meatballs into the egg, flour, salt, and pepper batter that I've made. And we will saute these until they're nicely cooked. Mass production here. So as they're cooking, you turn them over so that they, each side gets well done. So it's cooking nicely. So I'll move those to one side while I then can have space to add more to get them started. Okay, so now I'm taking the first ones that I put in because they're nicely done, and they've probably had about 5 minutes of cooking. So we're going to put them aside and until we finish with all of the others. So the final ones are done now, and so we're going to get a piece of foil and cover them to keep them warm while we do the rest of the pepper. And see, I have some chopped up, but what you do is take your knife and circle around the stem, pull it out, cut it in half. I'm only going to use half of this because I have already cut. And then inside you'll see some little seeds and something that's just like sort of pith, and that needs to come out. And these were washed, of course, ahead of time, so they're nice and clean. A little stem there at the bottom that I wanted to get rid of, and then I just slice them like this. And then cut them the other way into little pieces that are around, say, a 1/2 inch square. Okay, I have some chicken bouillon here, a cup of it, and I'm going to put 1/2 cup in this pan. And I'm going to add the peppers and the pineapple. And this is just a tin of pineapple tidbits. You can use fresh pineapple if you like. There's not a particular stipulation of which is the best thing to do. I'm going to cook this over medium heat for 5 minutes. Now we're going to make the sauce that coats what we've already made, the meat and the peppers. So we'll start out with the rest of the bouillon, because we remember we had a cupful. So we used 1/2 cup in to cook the peppers. So I put the rest of the bouillon in, and this is the pineapple juice, the juice that came from the the juice that came from the tin. And we're going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar and a 1/2 cup of vinegar and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. So we mix that together, and also some soy sauce. So that was about a tablespoon of soy sauce. So now that the peppers and pineapple have cooked for 5 minutes in the bouillon, now we're going to add the sauce that I made that had the pineapple juice, vinegar, sugar, cornstarch, and the remaining bouillon. So the cornstarch will thicken this. And create a sauce for all. See, it's thickening up. It just, it just takes a little patience to let it heat, because you put cold items in, and they have to heat up, and the cornstarch has to do its work to thicken the sauce. You can see it's fairly thick. Now we take our meatballs, which are nice and warm still, and put them into the sauce. They're all covered with the sauce. the Polynesian meatball recipe is complete. And I've made rice along with this. And I tend to use the sticky rice or short grain rice, which seems to go nicely with an Asian type of menu. So I put a bed of rice in the bottom and then serve. We have to make sure we get the right number of meatballs so that everyone is happy. And there you go, Polynesian meatballs. Enjoy.
But I thought I'd review this beautiful thing in front of me.
And the meal's not bad either.
Hey, go. What a beautiful day it is today. Thank you for having me. The meal we've just enjoyed is a tradition in our household, and it gets better every year we try it, and we should have it more often, but the cook complains it costs too much money. Many people don't experience the fact that there are tender and tough meatballs. We are very blessed with having tender meatballs. And putting pineapple and peppers with it makes it even more delicious. Amen.